How you doing, guys? This is OneManClan, and welcome to part 2 of surviving in the Quake world. And I've tried to do this as one long video, but it's impossible. I've tried multiple takes. I get tongue-tied. I forget the point I'm making. I skip from topic to topic. So then I tried writing it down like a list. Where's my list? I got the list. But if I read from the list, I tried it and it sounds like I'm reading. It sounds like a lecture and it's boring. I don't want to do that. I just want to talk. So I'm going to pick one topic each week. And today's topic, part 2, will be getting new players barriers to entry. Barriers to entry. Now, what do I mean by barriers to entry? What I mean is that like I said last time, part 1, the new players will be people that have never played AGR before. If we're ever going to have a 32-player game again, a whole chunk of those players will be new to the game. They will be there because somehow they heard about AGR. Somehow they were attracted to what they heard to the point where they actually downloaded a client and connected. But before the downloading and connecting happens, we've got the first stage, which is how they're going to hear about it and what are they going to hear, what's going to draw them in. And the way I'm thinking of it is, I'm thinking, well, okay, AGR has a feeling. The thing I love about AGR is the feeling of playing it. Okay, this is the psychology, it's unique gameplay. And if someone likes that feeling, AGR is a feeling. Okay, AGR is a feeling. And each mod has its own feeling. There's a feeling of Doom, there's a feeling of Quake, there's a feeling of Deathmatch, there's a feeling of Mega TF feeling, there's a custom TF feeling, and AGR is a feeling. And people can like that feeling or not like that feeling. But all we can really ask, all that I'm asking, is that people try the feeling. Just try it. And hopefully their first try is a good try and they stick at it long enough to see why we love it. To that end, I've been making some videos. I've been trying to do with commentary tracks so they can enter inside the players' heads to my head, and I'll be talking about that another time, about the promo videos, which will need to show new guys the feeling of the joy of the game, what we're doing, because it's a difficult game. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a deep, difficult game, intentionally so. AGR was designed to be difficult. It's a challenge for the best players. There are no easy classes. There's no effortless capping. It's tough, and you know, people that are used to, you know, a lot of people quit because they couldn't handle it, baby. You know, the sniper power has been lessened and everything's been balanced out. You can't bunny hop with that red armor anymore. You're gonna have to earn your caps. So I'd venture to say that you AGR players, you're the toughest hombres. What does that mean, hombre? I think it's an American Indian term. In the world. I think it was Lone Ranger said that. Anyway. So we want them to experience the feeling. But before they get to have the feeling, they need to play. So we need to let them know that there is an AGR feeling. And how are we going to do that? We are going to have to, when discussing the mod and promoting the mod, the number one thing for the new players to draw them in will be to make sure that their interest straight away, the message they get is that this is different. This is not TF, it's not Quake 1 TF, it's not like anything else you've played. It's not like custom TF. Custom TF is the closest, of course. But, you know, as we all know, the custom TF fans turned their back and gave the finger to AGR and walked away and didn't turn around and rejected AGR like a bastard child. And so it's got its own unique thing. How can we show them that it's different? It has to look different. Because if you show them the way it looks right now, it'll just look like, well, actually, Not the way it looks right now, because there's one thing right now that AGR's got, the one thing that you take one look at it and straight away you know, oh, that's different. And of course I'm talking about the yellow faces, doom face. Now, whether you like them or whether you hate them, they are there to, they do a whole bunch of things, and actually they weren't, wasn't why they're there, they were there for a different reason. But as a lucky fluke, it occurred to me later on, looking at all the promos, I thought, oh my God, every video now, every screenshot, every little thing of the AGR showing those yellow faces is unique. Sapphire did a video a couple of months back, and it's a brilliant video, and you see the faces, and anybody looking at that video will know that it's totally unique. Or not totally unique, they'll have to at least look at it and go, what's that? They're going to ask questions. And this is what we want. We want curiosity. Now, can we go further? Yeah, we could. And the big thing, of course, is the player model itself. Because the skin's different, but the actual player model itself is still the Quake dude. And of course, there's a whole bunch of Quake stuff in the game. And the minute you mention the Quake word, that's a barrier to entry right there, I think, because people are going to go, oh, Quake, that's that old game, and they don't want to hear anything else. And you try telling them it's a mod, and it's just like, no, because to most people, see, to us, AGR is the feeling of the gameplay, and I don't really care about the graphics, but to most people, the graphics is the game. And let's face it, AGR still has primarily Quake graphics. It's basically Quake. And whilst it continues using the Quake graphics and the Quake look, then most people will perceive it as that old Quake game. So in order to get the new players, we need to make it look as different, as unique as possible. The yellow faces help. Ideally, though, I would like a new player model. But look, let's not get into the solutions today. Today, I just want to go through the barriers. And the barriers to entry for new players to AGR, number one is the look. Before we go any further, I remember we're talking about a dude that has no interest. He wants to play games, and he's just looking around and he sees it. He wanted to look and go, what is that? The yellow faces help, but I would like more things to make them to go, oh, what's that? What's that? I need to check that out. I need to see what that's about. And if you want, call them gimmicks. But who cares? Who cares? Remember, what we're all about is 32 players. That's what this is all about. So, hey, if you've got better ideas, let's hear them. But this is what I'm working towards. There's a clarity here. If it takes let's say it's a silly gimmick that you and I hate, if that's going to result in a 32-player game, let's do it, I say. So, what are the other barriers to entry? Number one is the look of the game. Number two, I've got notes here. The look of the game. Barriers to entry. Number two is the balance of the game. Now, as you know, the game's tough. AGR's really, really, really tough. And the guys that have been playing it, like us, we've been doing this for 98? 245, man. I know that map, we're talking 15 years more. So, a new guy is going to enter the world of AGR and try to play. They're going to get slaughtered. That's a barrier to entry right there. And this is possibly going to be the biggest challenge of all. How can we have a game with a King of Ping who's a veteran playing versus Bill Smith, some 14-year-old kid who's doesn't even know, I was going to say hasn't touched a girl's boob yet, man. And he's going to, but look, kids are wizards, and theoretically, I think I read somewhere that biology means that each generation gets smarter and faster and better. So it shouldn't take them, theoretically, it shouldn't take them that long, especially with some introductory videos. But look, again, I'm going to discuss the solutions next week. For this week, I just want to go over the barriers. And that's a big one. And that's a tough one. Do I have the solution for that one? No. No, I don't. All I can think of is making sure that the game feels fair. One thing I like about TF2 is they always show you how you died. So maybe we could do that. Making sure the game is fair, that's all I can do. And I've tried to do that as much as possible. There's always an answer to everything. In spite of criticism about Kevlar, Kevlar's really, really strong. Anyway, let's not get bogged down to the details. Let's just go through the list. So the game is really, really, really tough. Thirdly, and the next step, I forgot what order I'm in. It's really complicated as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff that a new person entering the game is going to be confused. There's, what's going on here? Okay, so it's Team Fortress, but there's monsters flying around as well. Plus there's bots. Plus I keep, someone's trying to stab me, and I keep getting hallucinations, and I can't move, and some dude's pushing me, and now I'm sick, and now I'm throwing up, and now there's vomit I'm supposed to avoid, and what the hell's going on around here? What is this game? And then there's a monster, and this one's a friendly monster, and this one isn't, and I've got something else coming up, some new secret AGR business, which is going to really freak people out. It's just like, which is really, really cool. But anyway, it's a confusing game, and I remember the first time I played custom TF years ago. My first impression was, this is really, really confusing. I keep dying in all these ways. I couldn't understand why I died, and that, and I remember getting killed by the snipers all the time. That was really irritating. Until I discovered the teleporter. It's like, so if I build a teleporter here, if I can get across in 245 and build it in the other base, down the basement somewhere, or where the spiral is in the water entrance, I never have to face those snipers. Suddenly, boom, now I'm in. I was interested. But, okay, so the barriers to entry. Back to it. Let me look at my notes. It's confusing, frustrating for a newbie. And look, why don't I leave it there? That's enough. That's enough. So we can deal with those three things. I think we've got a chance in getting the kids involved. Number one, stop them dismissing and rejecting the game because of the way it looks. Give it a new look, a different look. Is it possible? Can you change the way the game looks and keep it the same? Yeah, it is possible, and I'll explain next week how it's done. And some of you have already guessed, but no, I'm going to make you wait. So, secondly, the associations with the name Quake and the name Custom TF and all these words, and even Quakeworld. Shouldn't be talking about Quakeworld. Quakeworld, like I said, is finished. Those guys, that well's been run dry. What's the expression? There will be no new guys drifting around. They're gone. And again, I've been doing this since 2008. And every single Quake-related website has got something about AGR on it, and quakeservers.net has got posts. And by now, anybody who has never heard of AGR, anybody who've even taken a few minutes just to check it out has heard about it. Every website's got a link. The website's been up. The videos are up. I've rapped. I've sung. I haven't sung yet. I might sing one day soon. But everyone's heard about it. So this particular well has been. I forget the metaphor. There's no new players coming from the Quake world, as I explained, as you saw from that screenshot, man. That's all you need to know. And of course, as we discussed, any players coming back would come back for nostalgia. And AGR is not about nostalgia, baby. And then we've got the problem of the complications of the game. It's really complicated what the hell's going on. And of course, the big skill differential. The skill differential. How can you make it so that a newbie can play with a guru? How can you make the new guy have fun? If they don't have fun, they're going to leave. And those guys that you love dominating, I think Beltan said this quote. He goes, guys that are really into dominating, that will only play if they get the feeling of being dominant, keep being dominating, and soon there'll be no one left to dominate. So this is a big challenge. And finally, there's the complications of the actual mod itself. There's a lot of stuff to buy, a lot of the way it works. And this is the thing. I've tried to give things personality. So there's weird little quirks there. And I really want to make this mod so that it never gets boring. There's always new things to discover. And some things I don't really reveal. Maybe not game-changing things, but nice, wonderful little surprises. And anybody investigating a particular class will find all sorts of little things there. And again, this is the assumption that someone is already skilled and that they are trying different things. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And can these challenges be overcome? Well, yeah, I think they can be overcome. They can't be eliminated because no game's perfect. But to get people in, to get to experience that feeling, I will be discussing that next time. In the next installment of Surviving in the Quake World. So thanks for listening. I look forward to seeing you this week's game, which will be, at this stage, it's still Saturdays and Sundays, 2300 GMT. But, talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.